Hello everyone, let's start today's computer class, and today we will continue with revision. In the last video we were revising the topic computer categories, and we discussed two topics based on generation and based on type. In based on generation we discussed the 5 generations, and based on type analog, digital and hybrid computer. Today we will discuss based on purpose and based on size. So let's start. Computers are categorized based on purpose. There are two types computers based on purpose. First is specific purpose computer and the second is general purpose computer. As the name indicates, specific. Specific means these are designed for some specific purpose, and these type of computers are dedicated for one task only. For example, you might be observed in the airport, the computer which we use, and in the malls, the computers which we use. We cannot use those computers at any other place. They are dedicated for that purpose. Another examples like for traffic signals, the computers which we use, and for collection of tolls on highways. So all these are dedicated for some special task. Fine. So that's why we call it specific purpose computer, designed for only one purpose. Now the second is general purpose computers. The computers which we use all are general purpose computer. Why general purpose? Because in these types of computer we can perform multiple tasks, variety of tasks. For example, we can make documents, we can watch videos, we can listen music. So different types of tasks we can perform on these computers, and these are called general purpose computers. Fine. Now moving ahead, come to the topic based on size. So based on size, computers are categorized into microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe computer and supercomputers. So microcomputers are also called PCs, personal computers. The computers which we use are microcomputers, and these are used for general purpose at home as well as in offices. We use such type of computer. Laptops also comes under microcomputers. Mini computers. Mini computers are larger in size as compared to the microcomputer, but smaller as compared to the mainframe computer. Now what is the use of mini computer and where do we use mini computer? Mini computers we use in labs, and in labs, in networking we use for LAN, local area network. For local area network we use mini computer. How? As a server. In a network, what we do, we make a server and rest few machines we make clients. Now what is the difference between client and server? Server has the different capacity of hardware as well as software also. In server, the hardware capacity is more as compared to the clients, and servers are also different. Like operating system for server will be different as of your client. In server we use Windows Server, fine, and in client we use simply Windows 10 or whatever. So there will be difference. So mini computer we use as server in networking because it has larger capability or capacity of hardware as well as software. Fine. Now come to the mainframe computers. Mainframe computers are larger in size as compared to mini computers. So obviously the storage capacity will be large, very large. And what is the use of mainframe computer? Where do we use? Mostly we use mainframe computers in banks and industries. Or for research work also we use the mainframe computers. Fine. Now the last is supercomputer. Supercomputer, most powerful computers as you know, and the use of supercomputers for research work, scientific research work, robotics, weather forecasting, we use supercomputer. And India also has made supercomputer like Param and Anurag are Indian supercomputers. Fine. And USA has developed the first supercomputer, that is Cray-1. Fine. So this was about based on size. And why supercomputers are most powerful? What is the feature in supercomputer which makes it more powerful? and that feature is it is multiprocessor. See, all the computers are single processor. They have only one processor, but this is multiprocessor. So many processors work at parallel. So processing speed is very large as compared to the other computer. This make it more powerful. Fine. I hope the difference is clear. So this was about based on purpose and based on size. Now we will start the next topic, computer languages. So let's start the next topic. So next is computer languages. Now before coming to the computer languages, first we will understand what is language. Now what is language? Language is a medium which is required to communicate with others. Language is a medium to express or share your ideas and thoughts. Similarly, computer has its own language. Computer understands some particular languages. Fine. So, the languages which is understood by computer is called computer languages, or we can say the languages through which we can communicate with computers are called computer languages. Like C, C++, Java and so on. Fine. So all these are computer languages. Now we will discuss the types of computer languages. Types of computer languages. Now computer languages are broadly classified into two types. One is low level language and another is high level language. Fine. Now low level language again categorized into machine language and assembly language. Now if I talk regarding the generation of languages, so we can categorize machine language in first generation as a first generation language, assembly language, second generation language. Now in high level languages, again we categorized into third generation, fourth generation. In your book up to fourth generation languages are given, but up to fifth generation languages are there. Fine. So in third generation languages like C, C++, Java. Fine. Fourth and fifth we will discuss later. Now let's start with machine language. So machine language, when the computer was invented earlier, what we used to do, as a user, we couldn't instruct the computer. Only experts were able to instruct the computer in terms of 0 and 1. Only experts can instruct the computers in terms of 0, 1. And how in terms of 0, 1? By using switches. Because 0 indicates off state and 1 indicates on state. So by switching off and on, experts used to instruct the computer. Now, if you instruct the computer in terms of 0, 1, for example, I am giving instruction like addition of two numbers. In terms of machine language, how will be written? Like for addition, this is the code 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. Suppose for addition, this is the code and two numbers 0, 1, 1, 0. Sort of this will be the machine language. Now, what do you think? Would it be easy for the user to write instruction? Not because user were not able to, only experts. But this type of language was not easy to give the instruction, because in this case, first you need to memorize the codes. Like for addition, this is the code. For subtraction, this is the code. So it was very difficult to instruct the computer in terms of 0 and 1. But there are some advantages also. There were some advantages. What are the advantages of machine language? If you give the instruction in terms of 0, 1, that instruction will be directly understood by computers. Fine, because computer understand only 0, 1 and you are instructing the computer in terms of 0, 1. So that will be directly understood by computer and execution will be very fast. Fine, but the disadvantage, difficult to instruct the computer in terms of 0, 1. And the second disadvantage, it's a machine dependent language. Fine. What do you mean by machine dependent? Machine dependent means the computer on which you are writing the instruction, on that particular computer, on that particular hardware, you can run the program. You cannot run the program on any other machine. These are called machine dependent. So this was the biggest disadvantage. Now to overcome these disadvantages, we invented assembly language. And assembly language, what was the improved feature? In assembly language, we started using mnemonics. It will start with M will be silent, mnemonics. Now what are mnemonics? Mnemonics are the special symbols which we use to instruct the computer. Like instead of using 0101 in assembly language, we used to write ADD for addition, SUB for subtraction, for storing STORE. So we started using some symbols. These are called mnemonics. So if I ask you which one will be easier to instruct the computer, in 01 terms or these terms? Obviously this. For addition, if you write add, this will be easy for the user to instruct the computer. So first advantage is you are using the mnemonics and that will be easy for the user to instruct. Now again disadvantage, easy for the user but computer cannot understand it directly because computer understand only 0 and 1. So what do we need? In this case we need a translator. Fine. And the translator which we use to convert assembly language into machine language is called assembler. Fine. So assembler is a translator which converts the assembly language into machine language. Now in assembly language also, first the mnemonics converted into the opcode, we call it opcode. In few books it is mentioned, otherwise directly we can say it converts the mnemonics into binary. But in few books opcodes are also mentioned. So first we will say, first the mnemonics will be coded into opcodes and then opcodes will be translated into machine code. Fine, because ultimately we have to convert into machine code or binary code. This is the use of assembler. Fine, so assembler converts mnemonics into binary code, but the intermediate code will be opcode. First the mnemonics will be converted into opcodes and then assembler converts opcodes into machine code. I hope it is clear, because computer understand only machine code. We need to convert ultimately into machine code. Fine. And another disadvantage was this is also machine dependent. That's why we call machine language and assembly language both as a low level language, because both are machine dependent language. Fine. Now to overcome this disadvantage that these are machine dependent, we invented high level languages. Now, what are the advantages of high level language? In high level language we started using English words, simple English words which we use generally for communication. So very easy for the user to instruct computer because we started using English words. Fine. So first advantage of high level language is easy for the user to instruct the computer. Now second is machine independent. High level languages are machine independent. Low level languages machine dependent. So that is the biggest achievement in case of high level languages. In high level languages, first the third generation computers we are talking about, C, C++, Java comes under this. So in such type of languages instructions were very easy for the user to instruct. Second, we need a translator. Which translator do we need to convert these high level language into machine code? Because again, if we are giving instruction in terms of simple English words, that would not be understood by computer. Again, we need a translator. And which translator do we use? We use compiler, interpreter. Compiler, interpreter. Fine. Now, compiler and interpreter are translators which convert high level language into the machine level language. Examples are C, C++, Java. Fine. So, this was about third generation language, and on translator we will come later at the end of the chapter. First, we will cover the fourth and fifth generation language. Now, we will see the fourth generation language. In fourth generation language, time, cost and efforts are reduced to develop software application. So, as compared to other generation languages, in case of fourth generation language, we need less time, less cost and less efforts are needed to develop the software application. Fine. Now, the second is portable programs are developed. By using fourth generation languages, we can develop portable programs. What do you mean by portable programs? Portable means the programs which you can run on any platform. Platform means operating system. For example, you have developed the program on Windows, so you can run on Linux, you can run on Unix and other operating systems. Fine. So, it helps in developing the portable programs. Like Java. Java is also a platform independent language which can be run on any platform. Platform means operating system. Third is used in the field of database queries, data manipulation and report making. So these are some new terms, but in your book it is mentioned. So let me explain these. So database. You might be not aware about database. Database, what is a database? Database is a place where we store our data at one place, where we keep our whole data at one place. This is in software I am talking about. This is called database. Like in your school, we have to make a database in which we store all the information about students, teachers, personal information, academic information in tables form at one place. This is called database. Now, what is the use of fourth generation language? Fourth generation language is used to query the database. For example, you want to see anything from the database. You want to retrieve some data from the database. You want to modify or manipulate the data in database. For that purpose, you need fourth generation language like SQL. SQL is the only widely used fourth generation language. So, what is the use of SQL? To query the database. Fine. To retrieve the data, to store the data in database, to manipulate the data. So, we call it language of database. Fine. Now, for report making also, if you want to generate the reports, we use the fourth generation language SQL. It is easily accessible. Easily accessible to user means no formal training is needed. We can learn this language very easily. Fine. So, no formal training is needed. Very easy for the people to learn this fourth generation language. An example is SQL, Structured Query Language. Fine. So, now come to the fifth generation language. In few books, artificial language also comes under fourth generation language. But in some books or internet, you will find that it comes under fifth generation language. Fine. So, in fifth generation language, the language which we use, that is used for artificial intelligence, or fifth generation language we call the artificial languages also. Fine. It is also used to query the database, same purpose, but in some fast and efficient manner as compared to the fourth generation. Because it's the next generation, definitely it will be better as compared to the fourth generation. So it works in more efficient and faster as compared to the fourth generation language. Now, sorry. Now users can communicate with the computer in an easy and simple way. Obviously, if artificial intelligence is there, so you can communicate with the computer very easily. Like you might have heard Alexa, Amazon's Alexa. So how you instruct the Alexa? Alexa, play this song. Alexa, if you want to get or find some information, you just instruct the Alexa what is the meaning of information technology, whatever. So users can communicate in an easy and simple way. For example, Mercury, Prolog, OPS 5. These are the names of 5th generation languages which we use as a 5th generation. Right? Now, next is translators. The last topic is translator. Let me start. Now in translator, we will discuss 3 types translators are there. Now first we will see what is translator. So let's begin. Translators. Now what is a translator? Translator is a software which converts the computer program into the computer understandable format. Fine. It converts the program which we write in terms of our language, like maybe in assembly language, maybe in high level language. Translator is needed in case of assembly language as well as in high level languages. So what is the purpose of translator? To convert the computer program into the computer understandable format. And what is the computer understandable format? 0 and 1, binary format, or we can say machine code. Fine. So 3 types of translators are there. So it's not a hardware, it's a software. And 3 types are there: assembler, compiler, and interpreter. Fine. So first we will see what is assembler. Assembler converts assembly language into machine code or binary code. Assembler. This is a use of assembler. Compiler. Compiler. What is the use of compiler? Compiler converts high level language into machine code. Fine. This is the use of compiler as well as interpreter. So compiler and interpreter both have same purpose. Converts high level language program into the machine code. Now what is the difference between compiler and interpreter? If they have both same purpose, what is the difference then? See the difference. First, compiler, what compiler does? Compiler read the program, whole program, entire program at once and then convert into the machine code. And interpreter read line by line, convert line by line. Interpreter read first line and then convert into machine language. Then second line and then convert into machine language. So it converts line by line and compiler converts whole program at once. Second difference is compiler shows the list of errors at once. It will read the whole program at once. If errors are there, it will show you the list of errors. And interpreter, what interpreter does? Interpreter first see the first line. If any error is there, so it will show the one error at one time. Then when you rectify the error, then only it will come to the next line. Then it will come to the second line, read the line. If any error is there, show the error. And so on. Right? So it shows the list of errors. Compiler and interpreter shows line by line error, or we can say one error at one time. So that's it. This was all the topics I think we have covered. Fine. So I hope you have understood. This is a revision. Prepare well, revise well, and you can watch the previous videos also related to this. Thank you. Thank you for watching.